All right, we're back with the BullRing Banter podcast. I mean, as long as it's been since we've done one, I guess it's probably amazing that I can even say that. But this is the BullRing Banter podcast. Oh, man.
Are we back to episode 1 now?
I mean, it's like we're starting over. So, I am Langley Austin, promoter, Ararat BullRing, Ararat, Virginia. That other voice you heard, that was my wife, Kimberly Austin. She is a woman of many talents there, including scoring, which I don't think she messed up too bad. She spelled a few names wrong. If I could just get her to, ask people how to spell their name instead of just guessing what they said, But we'll get there one day.
That wasn't my strong suit in school anyway, so we're good.
Well, it's all good. It's all good. This episode, as always, brought to you by Buffalo Mountain Motorsports. Might sound like a race team, but it's not. It's a car dealer, power sports, ATV, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, accessories. They're the sponsor of our late model division. Their owner, Rob Favor, he races in our late model division.
And Crown Vics.
And Crown Vics, yeah. Didn't have a real great night in either. I think he finished second in the Crown Vic race, but got put into the wall in it, I believe. Got put into the wall in the late model race too. So not the greatest of nights. Show's also brought to you by TC Construction. They're the title sponsor of the modified division. That's Travis Covey. He's a modified driver. And I can't remember how he ran first night. Not off the top of my head anyways, and I don't have results sitting here in front of me. So
it wasn't stellar.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure he's hoping night 2 goes a whole lot better.
Yeah, him and his wingman, Cambridge Gann. Cambridge didn't even get to run in the race, so he was a little disappointed about that. He
had a few mechanical errors at Carolina the night before, and he just couldn't really, fix them before Ararat the next night.
That's right. Show also sponsored by Andrew's Mowing and Landscaping, and that is Andrew Langford, and that is another late model driver who, man, he's a hot lap hero. He's fast when it doesn't count. I don't know what he's got to do to be that way in the race, and I give him a hard time. But he had a good run. Just got thwarted by a couple contacts, maybe him and Gary Mabe or something over there. I don't know exactly what happened in that deal, and I think there were some other things there. But I'm sure he'll be back ready to go this weekend, so be sure to hit them up.
I'm not talking crap or nothing, but if you've seen Andrew Langford, for the 2 practices we had, and, for the practice at the beginning of the day, you're like, man, this dude's going to set the world on fire.
Yeah.
And he ran second most of the night, so, he had a really good run. He fell off there at the end, but I was impressed. But, man, when it comes to single car and him by himself, he is incredible. Well,
he admits that he's a hot lap hero and ain't quite that much of a hero in the race yet. He said one of these days he's going to accidentally win, so maybe he will. Who knows? Some of you guys probably wondering, well, where the hell have we been? Last 3 weeks, we've been MIA from the BullRing Banter podcast, and it's been an interesting ride getting ready for the season opener. We had practice, so we had our first practice, then we had a episode, and then we didn't have one after our second practice, and then next week, we're leading into the race. Well, I guess at that second practice, I don't know, man, I picked up some sort of bug or something, and I was sick all week, all the way into race day, coughing and thinking I was going to, throw up or, worse, during the course of the day. And it wasn't exactly how I wanted to spend my season opener. I felt much better. The adrenaline, I guess, took over as the day went on, and I felt much better, but I didn't feel better the next day. And so we've been playing kind of catch up. And
last week you gave it to me.
Yeah.
I've sort of been battling it all week.
Well, and I think, today when I woke up, I got it back. I don't really know. So not excited about that, but we're not going to harp on that. We're full steam ahead. Sorry we hadn't been on here in the last 3 weeks. It's been
a little hectic around the
it has. And I got the other podcast, the Pit Chatter podcast, that we've started doing live on Facebook, and I think that helps me. It sounds weird, but it helps me being live because I got to stick to it. You know what I mean? This one I can go, I'll just record tomorrow. Well, I'll just record the next day. Well, let's just record this weekend. Well, let's just record on Tuesday. Well, let's just record this day. Well, it just seems to never happen. Finally, I just had to tell you a minute ago, you were, going, we're 9 o'clock at night. You were going to work on some T-shirt stuff, some merchandise things. I was setting up here, uploading podcasts from the Pit Chatter podcast and other things, on my computer, getting ready for the weekend. And I was like, gosh, I'm sitting here. I better go on and get this recorded right now.
I think it definitely helps you to be lazier having the Pit Chatter podcast, because you do get a little of our dirt guys sprinkled in, and you're like, oh man, that'll cover it for a few days. I think we'll be all right, and then it just helps you to sort of relax when this needs to be. They need to hear what we've been doing.
Oh yeah,
like today we went down and I rearranged the snack shack a little bit. And be down there tomorrow cleaning bathrooms. Got the diesel filled up in the water truck and the grader. Gas
filled up in the pack car and the wrecker, and so we're wheels turning. This is Wednesday night recording this. Wheels turning. We're getting ready for the weekend. Hopefully we'll be on par. We both got a little project to go take care of Friday, so we won't exactly be at the track, but we got people in place to take care of that, luckily, and so we'll motor on and get ready for the weekend here and hopefully be ready and maybe be more ready than we were last time, even though, if all things considered, the fact that, I went down to the track, I think on Tuesday, and then didn't make it back until Saturday because I was sick, and had some other issues and some other things going on that kind of kept me sidelined as well. And, with all things considered going into there, it was pretty amazingly, I'm not going to call it flawless, but as close as you're going to get to flawless, given the circumstances. And we're going to go over some of that here in just a minute.
Race number one, week of scary as hell. Scared we weren't going to make it there, car troubles. And
we had a bunch of car issues. I talked about my truck, and I'm that guy. I don't want to go just buy a vehicle. I'm anti payments. I'm anti buying anything on the spur of the moment. I've done that a few times.
Covered for both of us.
I know. I've done that a few times, and they're parked out in the driveway. Just sitting there, and I won't even get rid of them because I want them to remind me of how stupid I was. So. Yep, bunch of issues and a bunch of chasing down parts while I was sick. Driving a friend's vehicle, I thought I was going to throw up going down 581 in Roanoke, and it's just it was an interesting week, to say the least.
Going from car troubles to the health department deal and the fire marshal, to getting to race one.
Yeah.
Forgetting change.
Yep. Yeah. I drove right by the bank. I had it on my brain. Had pulled money out to make sure that I had it in my pocket. Drove right by it.
We get to the racetrack. He's like, "Hey, you got change?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" We've been running a racetrack since 2013 on and off. What do you not forget?
Yeah. Well. We made the most of it, and people did great, bringing exact change. We've kind of ingrained that in their minds over the practices, and that's one of the reasons why I do that, is because we may be prepared. We'll be more prepared this weekend. You're never always prepared change-wise, though, and you can get into getting a bunch of $100 bills and really jack yourself up in a heartbeat, but...
I am 100% prepared for this weekend.
Yeah, you say that.
Granted,
we're running out of change now for sure.
Granted, we don't have all $100 bills coming through the gate.
Yeah, well, see, you said 100% though. You screwed us. All jacked up. You mentioned the health department and the fire marshal, and we weren't able to open a concession. We underestimated what we might have to do to get that open, and overlooked some key things that they see that we didn't see, and we don't need to get into the details of those. We'll figure those out and get that, but it's going to take us a bit. To get the fire marshal back there and get that taken care of. But we're on the path to that, and hopefully we'll have that all solved here soon. Got some food trucks coming in this weekend,
and we did have the snack shack.
Yeah,
it's sold out of everything we had except for ring pops.
Well, and if you'd have told me what we actually paid for the ring pops instead of telling me 5 times what we paid for the ring pops, then we might have been priced right and people might have bought them. But that's a whole nother thing. Calculations, math is not your strong suit. We're definitely not giving you any division.
I was better in math than I was in spelling, just so we know.
Yeah, well, we've covered it. Neither one of those went very good at all. But man. we couldn't ask for a better opener.
Absolutely not. I went down to pit gate. I like to work with the girls until about 3:30, 4 o'clock, just to help to stand in if anybody needs it. I've got the transponders there. If a driver doesn't have one, you can rent one. And I mean, the line all day. They just kept coming, and they were out in the road. And then you'd see, a little bit of the road, and then you wouldn't see the road no more.
Yeah.
And I looked to the pits, and I'm like, oh, boy, we don't have much parking left.
Well, and that's, parking, which I knew was potentially an issue. I had a couple of people, I was like, hey, man, try to get here about 1 o'clock. So when these guys start getting here, you can kind of help us situate parking so that I know you can't stay here the whole time, but because you got to go do other jobs. But, hey, be here, do this, stand here, tell these people where to park, kind of guide them in. Let's get them a little close. No, they didn't get there till 4:30. By that time, it was a wreck. And, just, I'm not going to say we lost all control of that because that was a whole lot better than the first practice. I know you weren't there to see it, but it was a whole lot better than that. But
you did have us telling them, pack tight.
Yeah.
Park tight,
Yeah, that's
which,
right.
Some of them listened and some of them didn't. Back to looking into the pits, and watching them fill up and not allowing personal vehicles past sign-in and them having to park outside, covering up the creek road, us having to move them the whole day. Yeah. I think grandstand gates weren't supposed to open till 5?
And there was literally a couple there before the first race car got there.
Yeah, we moved them out there at 3:30?
No,
4 o'clock.
We opened the gate at 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
as we already had cars coming in at 1:30. There was fans coming in at 1:15.
It was crazy, and I mean they were there setting their chairs up, setting their blankets out. They were set up for a good night.
I love it. I mean, I love the enthusiasm that they had. I love that we were able to bring them something they haven't been getting. And hopefully we'll be able to continue, bringing them something that they haven't been able to get, and it'll all be good. Just we'll see. How everything plays out here. As we continue to work on, everything at the track. So. Car count was great. We had 60 cars in 5 divisions. Great. 16 late models. Incredible for that little track. Actually, probably too many, and the race kind of showed it. It was a cluster.
Lap 1, turn 1.
Yeah, no, they didn't make it to the turn.
Actually,
it
was on the front
stand,
stretch.
So,
you're right.
Which is not surprising. Fan count was really good. I think that and I don't want to downplay our crowd. But I think that people think that there was a lot more people there than really was. I know the real numbers, and I don't have a need to share those. But I think people think there was a whole lot more people there.
Well, you have people in the stands. You have people in trackside over here.
Did.
You have people up in their cars in their parking lot,
which that's
hanging
the
out.
best spot. I mean,
yes,
there. Yeah. I mean, it's
great. We've watched
great
races from up there.
Yeah, we have in the past. So yeah, for sure.
But let's
people
get
are
back
all
to
spread
the
out.
Numbers. Great numbers in all divisions.
Yeah.
Our stock 4s came out of the gate,
Yeah, well, and let's start there. That was a little wonky. First and third got disqualified. Man, you never want to disqualify anybody on opening night, but for some reason they came there thinking that, the guy who won, Dylan Knapp, nice guy, super respectful, took his disqualification like a champ. He never read the rules. He didn't know what the rules said. And I think, I don't know what the expectation was. I don't know if in the past they haven't teched, or in other tracks they're not teching, or what kind of expectation there is. But I mean,
he just wanted to race.
And he plans to come back and race, and I think he's got the Ararat bug. He wants to be there all the time. Hermie Hicks ended up, inheriting the win. Third place got disqualified. Prentice Winston, that team didn't quite take things as respectful. And, one of them, the guy who got black flagged or whatever for wrecking, Jonathan Sullivan, who was the leader, I guess, he smacked his jaws on Facebook, big time Facebook warrior, big old badass, but, just talking ignorance, which, happens, which I told him in the driver's meeting, and that's the thing, there's going to be nights when it's not going to be your night. It's going to be nights when we do you wrong. It's going to be nights when you get done wrong by somebody else. It's going to be nights when you do yourself wrong. But how I treat you is how you treat us. And if you need to take all your stuff to Facebook and act like a Billy Badass, well, I'm going to treat you like you're a Billy Badass. And
guns a-blazing.
And I will. And I was very respectful, when he messaged to start with, and then he, I seen him on other posts, and I was like, you know what, your respect's gone. We're done with that.
Well, when you go out there and you wreck the leader, you gotta know what's coming.
And I don't know that he wrecked the leader intentionally. Things happen. It's a dirt track. You slide around. Boy, it don't look good on video, I can tell you that.
No.
And that's actually the only clip that I've watched. I need to go back and watch all of the BAM racing videos. If you haven't
I've
checked
watched them all twice.
Be sure to check them out on YouTube. If you haven't checked them out, a lot of good racing from opening night.
BAM racing videos is top notch.
Yeah, Brandon does a great job.
He did an incredible job getting them out in a timely fashion.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, for sure. Really appreciate him being out there. I know he won't be out there all the time, so hopefully there'll be somebody to, shoot some video, from week to week, and it's something we'd like to work on. Hell, I'd like to stream sometime. I got big dreams, and I got a beanie weenie budget over here to work with. So we'll see what happens. But
we're gonna have to get our internet working a little better for us.
Oh my God, I know. Lord have mercy.
I can just say that scoring ran flawlessly.
Yeah.
I cannot, harp on how awesome it was for, once I figured out that the internet was in and out, I just hotspotted my phone. Yeah. And I mean, everything ran just like it should. Perfectly.
Yeah. And, for those of you that don't know, we're not on My Race Pass because that costs money, and we're not really ready to spend money on that. And Race Monitor is free for us, and it's $5 for you. And if you can't afford $5 to go look at your times, well, I don't know what to do for you. But that's the easiest way for us to put things up is on Race Monitor, and that's what we're going to use for now. And we may use My Race Pass in the future because I know all the dirt tracks are on there, so we need to be on there. But at the same time, that's $600 I don't need to spend right now. You know what I mean? That's, and you can say, oh man, well, y'all had all those people there and you made all that money. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a nice story you tell yourself. There ain't a lot of money made at these racetracks. I mean, I know you guys are used to going and looking at crowds and people paying all these dumb purses and throwing all this money out there and thinking that they're accomplishing something by doing that. All they're doing is making either breaking even or losing money every week. And I'm not going to do that. And I said that in the meeting in the beginning. And I said the purses weren't going to be that high. They're and we're going to work on them. There's areas where some of them are happy with them. Some of them are like, hey, this is okay, for, a $30 pit pass and no entry fee and for all these things. I don't have a lot of expense. We're not using up a lot of tires because the track's prepared really well. Man, Gary Nestor and the guys knocked that out of the park. So I don't have any complaints there.
Hands down, did a incredible job getting that track ready. Yeah. One thing about it, all the guys coming in, they knew that I was a scorer and transponders, and they kept coming up to me and kept saying, where do I pay my entry fee?
Yeah.
I need to give you my entry fee money. Yeah. And I'm like, no.
And I don't even know where that come from because I don't see that on none of the racetrack websites. I don't know if that's been a thing there in the past.
I was talking to one of the racers' wives, and she said, that's normal. When you go to a dirt track, you just pay an entry fee. And I'm like, man, maybe I should charge an entry fee. Yeah. Just joking.
Yeah.
But, everybody's coming up to me, just, where do I pay my entry fee? You don't.
Yeah, we're trying to keep your expense low and keep our expense low. Because if we don't keep our expense low, the track ain't gonna be open. So, and I know, and I already know this, and I've told multiple people this. I know that when you have to travel 2 and 3 hours to go to a race, you're spending 100, 150, 125, 75, whatever, 175, 200, whatever it is, whatever number that is to go somewhere more. And we're not that far off. Our purses are not that far off from these other people. So, at the end of the day, if you do the math, we're in the same boat. If you're local, and I had a guy the other day, a Renegade Sportsman. He's from like 3 hours away, and he's like, looking forward to coming up there, but I want to find out about the purse because I got to make sure it's worth it. My response, it's not. If you got to travel 3 hours to come race, our purse is not worth it. If you're a local, hour maybe away guy, it's worth it. You know what I mean? It's 100% worth it. It's good. And it is what it is, But if you're not a local, it's probably not worth it unless you're going to win the race. And if you're asking me what 5th place pays, you're probably not going to win the race. I'm just letting you know. You know what I mean? If you're focused on the wrong thing, but if you're going to win, the winner's purse is not that far off from everybody else.
Your mindset needs to be, look, I'm going to go here. I'm going to race. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to be laid back. Everything's going to roll. Not. We haven't even mentioned the best part. We were out of there by 9:40.
9:53. Right. Checker flag. Bam. 9:53.
Without the late model race, we do have time limits.
Yeah.
And we did go over the time limit with the late models, but I felt like with it being our first late model show,
and it was the feature of the night, and the highest car count,
And I did tell the guys.
And everybody else did such a great job.
Yeah, I told the guys on Race Receiver. I got my debut
about that here in a
debut on Race Receiver.
Yeah.
I told the guys, look, guys, we're running over our time limit. Yeah. Let's get this race in. But I cannot say how many people were like, man, we could go out to eat, or how many people sat around just BSing and drinking and having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if we'd have been a little quicker, having payouts ready, and that's something that we're going to work on. Like this week, I'd like to, whenever your race is over with, when the next race is over with, your payout should be ready, provided text clear on your division.
And that should be something simple, just print the results.
Yeah, and we're paying, down there where you sign in to come in.
Yep.
Which this week will be in the building, not in the tent, just to simplify things and to help our staff. So, we're cleaning some things up, and I go back. Let me backtrack here. We started, with the stock 4 and people flapping their jaws and all kinds of ignorance. But qualifying, we messed that up just a little bit, going straight to green. It was, conversation that I had with a racer where they said, well, the quick qualifying, when you go to these tracks is you come onto the track and then you go straight to green. Well, when you come onto those tracks, you're coming on in turn 1. Well, we were coming on in turn 4. So we screwed that up.
Yeah.
All good. We'll fix it going forward, and we'll be fine. Yeah, so qualifying for the late models and the modifieds this weekend, you'll come onto the track. Basically, you will, I don't know if he'll give you a green flag or not, but you'll go around, come back, and then you'll have your 2 timed laps there. I mean, I guess all 3 laps will count. You're on transponder, so all 3 laps technically count. So I guess if you screw up, it's not that bad.
Knock on wood.
But so we'll fix that, And race receiver, you mentioned that. I didn't take that serious. I come from asphalt, man. We don't use race receiver. But I will tell you this. If I ever operate an asphalt track again for one event or 100 events, I will use race receiver. Because it was amazing how well the racers listened.
I am not going to lie. You scared the absolute hell out of me when you come to the tower. Hey, can you talk to these racers tonight?
Yeah.
Do what?
Yeah.
With race receiver, they're used to people talking to them. And that's something I had never, never done. I had always talked to, track workers and whatnot. But I was like, I got this,
Yeah.
And I tried to be very respectful to all the racers and, just doing what needed to be done.
You have to be stern, but nice, or respectful, and it's all good. This week, we'll be on the Race Receiver channel that you guys are used to. What is it, 454.0000? So we'll be back on that instead of our track side, the crew, so you'll get all that cleaned up. Got somebody coming to help us with that this weekend, kind of getting us dialed in, and we'll worry about that this weekend.
I just need a few guidelines.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you've never done it before, what do you say? I mean, what information do you need? And I tried to walk you through a little bit of that of what I knew and had come to understand by talking to racers. But obviously, we weren't 100% prepared there.
I think I did a great job.
Listen, I think you did a great job. I mean, all things considered, I thought that it went really well.
Oh, yes.
Jay Altizer, flagman and former race director for us at Franklin County, did an exceptional job on the flag stand and kind of co-race directing there. And I think his role, will evolve as it goes, being in the flag stand and how the receiver works. And, he's still, basically, I think, he's the best set of eyes you got because he's closest to it, and he's right there with it. But, and obviously, so he's still got, some control over how things go. And I think that'll help, a lot, having somebody that veteran. And I think he's hooked on dirt now. He's only been an asphalt guy. He'd been to Natural Bridge back in, I guess, the 80s, and he didn't really like it, but really enjoyed the old Ararat BullRing. So that's a good thing. And
well, working with us, we all have a good time.
Yeah.
We're not there to slave drive, to run ourselves rampant.
Well, that goes back to what we were just talking about with purses a minute ago. We're there to have a good time. We're there for fun. If you're coming there to win $1 million, well, you're in the wrong place, dog. If you come in there because you think you're going to pay for, all the parts on your car that you screwed up last week with this week's purse when you finish fifth, that ain't happening. Sorry. It's just not how it works. You know what I mean? We're going to build a local program from the base up. You know what I mean? And, man, speaking about the base up, and my mouth gets to moving a little too fast sometimes, so I'm going to slow down. But the Crown Vics, man.
My.
Most entertaining race of the night by far. That and the Pro 4s, I think, was my two favorite races. Stock 4 was okay, but the track was a little too slimy for them. And there's another issue. So my dumbass, I decided we were going to run, and why this worked for me on asphalt is because we had spectator drags and kids bike races and stuff at the beginning of the night because you don't have to wait for the track to be ready for somebody to run on it. Well, so I put basically we ran practice and then we reversed the order of practice basically to run the races. Well, and then my announcers, Doc Love and Bo Miller, who both did a fantastic job, they didn't look at the schedule, didn't time out the national anthem at the right time. We were planning on having that after qualifying, not before, which I don't care when we have it. Just, that kind of made a little bit of a difference because it didn't give them any time whatsoever. So the Stock 4s qualified last, and then they had to be rushed right back to the track. And one guy, he said he missed the race or whatever. I mean, listen, if all the rest of them got there and you didn't, like if there's half and half, okay, we got a problem. But if you're the only guy that misses it, well, that was you, bud. But anyways. But so we're going to fix that. We're going to fix the schedule. So it'll be the same running order for practice or hot laps, qualifying, which we're only qualifying 2 divisions, and heat races and the others. But the heat races and everything will go in the same order. So everything's going to be in the same order all night long. So you'll know when you need to go. And the drivers, I got to give them all kinds of credit, except for the one guy who missed the Stock 4 race. And I'm sure he was trying, and maybe he didn't understand or read the schedule or whatever the case was. And we handed those out. So, I know that, everybody got one. But this will make sure that and the racers did a great job of knowing last time. It ain't no speakers working in the infield, which I don't think you could hear them anyways. It didn't make any difference if they were working. Speakers work great in the grandstand.
I'm surprised I couldn't hear Bo from the tower.
Yeah, well, him and his energy drinks, man. We gotta lock up the cooler. No more energy drinks for him. He can get one right before the last feature. Okay.
He is one of the most entertaining.
Oh, he's very
announcers. He's so animated,
very colorful,
so excited.
Yep.
You could make a whole show just out of our announcer. Just watching him and listening to him. You could make a whole show out of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to drink an energy drink to stand up there near him. Okay, it was, and I already had my adrenaline going, and I'm going on 10,000 RPM up there as it was. And
I felt like I needed some anxiety medicine to calm me down because he got me going.
If he would have been an engine, he would have done blowed up. Okay, I'm just letting you know because he was over revved for sure. But so got that down. Got that qualifying. We're fixing it. Receiver, we're fixing it. Orders we're fixing, and I kind of been talking to some people about how I can align the order to where that fits, because it was hard for the Stock 4s to go out there on that slimy racetrack still from just having 3 hot laps and 2 qualifying laps on every car, and so we'll put them a little deeper in the show, and they'll have a little better track this week, and we'll have a little wider tired car, for the opener. I think the Renegade Sportsmans will go first this week. I'm thinking, don't hold me to this because I hadn't wrote the schedule and printed it yet, but I'm thinking Renegade Sportsman's first, Renegade Sportsman's first, and then Pro 4s. Renegade Sportsman, Pro 4s, Stock 4s, Modifieds, and late models. Or late models and modifieds, whichever that ends up being. And then the Enduros go last. We don't have Crown Vics this week, which actually sucks, And my initial thinking on that, and the reason we wrote the schedule the way we did was, and this was before seeing the Crown Vics and seeing how the division was going to work out, I was like, oh, them guys will just run an Enduro. No, they ain't running an Enduro. They got two nice cars, and they're doing, it's just not going to happen. So
no, they're real race cars.
100%.
I've got to find me one of those things. My Lord, I've got to find me a Crown Vic.
Lord, I mean, you could have, today we were down there, you could have gotten the old Lincoln Town car and took you a couple laps, but you didn't, so.
I had the Snack Shack on my mind today.
I understand.
But, going back to the race order, I had a couple Stock 4s with, a fix for that. You could give them twins and run them early and late.
No dang twins. Although it would be very entertaining because it'd be two different worlds of races for them.
Absolutely. You would have the sticky, slimy.
But they're going to get that this week. Heat races, essentially a race, and then later on they'll get to race for real. So in the feature,
so we'll get a little,
they'll get a little something.
Sight into that.
They'll get a little something there. And one thing, we didn't have a Victory Lane banner the last race, and we're not going to this race. So and I will by the next race. I just got to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know if we're going to pull them up on the front straightaway. We did really good with time, so let's see how the time goes this time. So it determines how big it's going to be and what it's going to be made out of and all that stuff. And I know the sponsors, are waiting on that. But, we got the little sign, feature winner sign's got all the sponsors on it, and we're going to do a good job of hitting those sponsors: Buffalo Mountain Motorsports, Andrews, Mowing Landscaping, TC Construction, Race 22 Custom Apparel, Renegade Race Fuels. So we're going to hit those as hard as we can, and we're starting, pick up some other sponsors here and there.
And our announcer Bo Miller, I mean, he slams our sponsors all night.
And Doc too. Doc goes on the sponsors every chance he gets when it gets quiet. I think he's making up some pre-recorded stuff. I think they're going to record some driver interviews in the pits leading into the day, and play them as the day goes on. So we got a bunch of stuff. Maybe they can play clips from the BullRing Banter podcast, or whatever. Since we're actually going to do one this week. So. Got a lot of that. I talked about the race saver and qualifying, and talked about the payouts. And look, the payouts we paid the last race are like these first three races. We're going to try to stick with that right there, unless I see something that I immediately got to change. And then we'll kind of go from there. I'll evaluate it. I think by race 3, I think this race is going to be totally different than the last race for us. I think race 3 is going to be a little different than that, and I think that'll give me a real good idea because, man, you look up at those stands and you go, oh man, they got all these people here, and I think we're going to have a good crowd this weekend, but. Like I said, there's sincerely less people there than you think. And I'm not downplaying it at all. But anyways.
My number one thing is it looks amazing. There might be less people there than you think, and the stands aren't huge, what we're used to.
Yeah. I come from a racetrack that had 7,600 seats.
7,600 seats. Yep.
And if you put 500 to 1,000 people in there, which is an average crowd at any racetrack, well, probably above average crowd at any racetrack right now, it looked empty. You know what I mean? It didn't look good. There, you put 500 to 1,000 people in there, and it looks overflowing like it did.
The place looked absolutely magical.
It did.
You look in the parking area, it's slam full. You look in the trackside, it's full. You look in the grandstands, they're full.
Yeah, we got to do a little better job this week making sure we got the old trackside spots, under control. And I got to get the little plaques made for the ones that have reserved. I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to mark that off this week.
Now, can you buy trackside spots on the day of the race?
Yes,
the ones that are
$20.
not sold?
Yep.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're doing, and many people did. So there was a few freeloaders that got in there and got in the way, and I'll figure that out this weekend. I think I got some things that the people at the gate can give them. So we'll walk down through there and make sure you got it. You got a parking pass. Well, then you're supposed to be here, and if you don't, well, you're not supposed to be here. What else? Anything else that I missed? From the previous event, anything that we hadn't talked about. Got one of the Ararat volunteer, firefighters came, and I hate that I don't know his name. Actually, I do know his name. It's in my phone here.
I don't know his name.
He did a great job.
He did a wonderful job helping all night.
Marcus Engel.
And when he was leaving for the night, he stops me. He said, "Hey, are you the one that was on the radio?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I was." He said, "You done one of the best jobs I've ever heard on the radio before. You know, and he was just jumping in and doing whatever he could to help out. He was incredible help.
He did a great job. Was great help. Really appreciate him. Really appreciate all of our staff. You know, Tommy Hawks and his two sons, I believe Logan and Peyton are their names. They did a great job.
Running with whatever we need.
Oh, yeah. Whatever was needed, they were there. Tommy, you know, helps on track prep, does a great job.
I mean, you yell at Peyton, hey, take these lineup sheets down there and tape them on.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell, they were still taped to there today because and it was pretty smart. He took one piece of tape and taped them all on there, so you had to flip through them. And they stayed that way. So
that's awesome.
That was actually really smart. I pulled it off of there today because I was like, what is this on here? And of course, it was sheets and been rained on 97 inches last week. And
people really like that. They like being able to go up to a board. And then
we kind of dropped the ball by not putting up the lineups on there after that. But, you know, our guys did a great job of getting everybody in line. And we might have screwed up the Pro 4 lineup.
We did. My fault.
And that's a setting in the computer where when you go to print, sometimes you print you
print qualified view or you print timed view.
Yeah.
And I printed not the qualifying view like it was supposed to be. So that was 100% my fault, guys, and I am sorry.
Yeah. But I think the fastest car won the race. You know, so I don't think it mattered.
It was a good race.
Yeah, that was a good race.
The Pro 4s, I love them.
I mean, maybe you should have screwed up all the lineups. I mean, you know, whatever. I don't know. You know, but
let's not get to doing all that.
I mean, no. But listen, everybody did a great job. The racers did a fantastic job. Like I said, I mentioned, you know, that group of stock 4 people that, you know, flapping their jaws, and they weren't that bad. I'm not gonna, you know, there was one guy that was really bad, and you know, he got it given to him in spades, and I don't mind. And I've always told people this. I don't care what you say on Facebook, as long as you're telling the truth and not your version of the truth, we good. You can talk bad about me as long as you're telling the truth. But when you start, well, that was a mud hole. Well, everybody else loved the racetrack, bud. Sorry about you. And it was a little wet. It was, but it wasn't. It was. That track, and I'm not saying this because we were there, because it had nothing to do with me. Gary Nestor and Tommy Hawks, 100% right there on that job. I mean, the track was done Friday, and Gary got up, and he looked at it, and he said, nope, this ain't going to work. And he fixed it. Them two guys fixed the track, which is great.
And it definitely was not a mud hole.
No. And, you know, so, I mean, it was a little wet. It was. But it wasn't a mud hole. And it was, man, I think things were really good, you know, and over time we're going to continue to get better, you know, with that. I don't know that we can get any better with the track prep. Gary's very seasoned and very good, and I mean, I don't see that getting a whole lot better. I don't think we got much we can improve on there.
You can't make everybody happy.
But I think we can improve the order of the races and how the track, you know, plays out over the course of the night. And I think the heat races will help. And you know, we're doing the heat races instead this week because I didn't like the way qualifying went. And this week we're going to fix the late model into modified qualifying. So basically, you know, you go out, get your laps in, you're going to pull back in the center, and you're going to stop. You know, and race on Race Saver, they'll tell you that. You can just stay right there. Let's finish qualifying, and or get as many to where we're backed up. You know, if we got too many cars, like if we had 16 cars, I guess they would all fit there. They can get 3 wide or 4 wide or whatever. But you know, so that'll get us through that, and then we can take, you know, everybody can, you know, go to the scales. We were trying to do that so we can make it easier at the scales, you know, for everybody to get on, and you know, but man, it just that was too much.
That bogged everybody down.
It did. It just took too long. You know what I mean?
Before you start to wind down, I just got to mention the one funny for the night, our opening night, the one funny that showed that myself and Flagman Jay was asphalt dummies.
Jay. That's his. Well, he did that in the driver's meeting, but you know, just not thinking. He was talking about them having mirrors, and they were like, "We don't have mirrors." I say, "Hey, man, we're not. You know, Toto, we're not on asphalt anymore." Everybody.
Well, we go to start the modified race,
yep.
And everybody's lined up, and we're coming around, and he goes to throw the green, and he's like, "Caution, caution! We got a car on fire! A car on fire!" And I think it was Travis Covey.
Yeah.
He was dragging his brakes and sparking them.
Yeah.
And Bo Miller stopped me in the tower. He's like, no. That's what he's supposed to do. That's what they do. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, Sorry, racers. Let's restart it.
We don't.
Our
we
mix-up.
We don't have that on asphalt.
Yeah,
so.
we don't. We don't.
But listen, the nuances of it. I mean, for us to have not known as much as we didn't know, to have got through the night, and that was as a whole, as a staff, because the majority of the people that were there came with us. We hired very few people from the area. Some really good people that we did hire there, but we hired very few people, and we made the most of it. You know what I mean? I think we made the most of the night for sure. This weekend, like I said, we've got a big night, or the most divisions we're probably going to run all year, unless maybe a big race at the end of the year or something. But we've got the late models, the Buffalo Mountain Motorsports late models, TC Construction Modifieds, Pro 4s, Stock 4s, Renegade Sportsman, and the Enduro. And the Enduro, basically, it's $50 entry fee, 100% payback to the top three. I've had quite a few calls, and I've had quite a few messages, and man.
Now, will we put them on transponders, or will we hand score them? If it's any car type cars,
we are definitely on transponders.
Okay, so, got you. Just wanted to clarify.
No, we are not hand scoring anything. Okay, if we got the ability to put transponders on them, they'll get their $20 out and get their transponders.
Well, just letting you know, I had to hand score this past weekend, so I still remember how to do it. I don't like it. I love the easy of transponders.
Yeah, you're still helping out at Franklin County Raceway on Speedway Lane.
In full swing.
Yeah. And,
I've got a busy weekend this weekend.
They race on Friday, so you'll be there Friday. I've got some things to do in Roanoke, and then I'll go over there Friday, and then we'll be at Ararat Saturday morning, and looking forward to getting this one in. One thing that I do need to cover is, we were supposed to race Monday, May 26th, at the American All-Star Crate Series lined up. It just didn't work out. You know what I mean? I just... Could we have maybe made it work out? Yes. But would it have been good? I don't think so. I don't think being at the tail end of that after width was going to be good for us. I don't think that, being on a Monday was going to be great for the neighbors who don't like us already. And maybe for the ones who do like us, I don't know that they would have loved that. Clearer heads, better thinking, get out of that. Let them run their 2 races at Natural Bridge and Width. They race there Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to follow the American All-Star Crate Series, go do that Saturday and Sunday, even missing our race on Saturday. They're going to have some fantastic racing. Joseph Rush does a great job with that series, and I look forward to possibly having them later on. Not sure he's exactly thrilled with me at the moment because of not racing on Monday, but hopefully he'll get over that and we'll move on.
Well, look, we're in it. Let's not try to force something that we got something good 100%. Going. Yeah, let's not mess it up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it didn't really, just what divisions do you run? What guys could come on Monday? And another caveat to that, and I guess I'd seen this but didn't realize this because they didn't have their schedule out until after us. But like the track in Boone Fairgrounds Raceway, they always race on that Monday. Why we got to mess up something they're doing? You know what I mean? As a local track, and they're 2 hours away, yes. So guys are going to have to go spend some money down there, yes. But if they want to run their race, we should leave their race alone. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? And that's like one of their bigger races, and I'd like to, extend that, respect to them. You know what I mean?
And we're still learning.
Yeah,
we're still new to this. Don't force it.
And I've kind of went on the website, so people, like, hey man, when are you going to fill out the schedule and what divisions are running? Well, I got you through July 4th. So June 7th, Fan Appreciation Night, late models, modifieds, Pro 4, Stock 4s, and Crown Vics. Saturday, June 21st, the Red Clay Rumble, late models, modifieds, Renegade Sportsman, Stock 4, and Crown Vics. So the Pro 4s will be off that night. And then Friday, July 4th, the Red, White, and Boom, late models, modifieds, Pro 4, Stock 4s, and Crown Vics. Special event for Crown Vics that night. We're going to try to ramp it up. That gives them 4 or 5 races here. Maybe we'll have even more. I mean, to have 9 on opening night was pretty awesome. I'll be honest with you, when we announced the division, there was one guy at the meeting, and that was Brad Holt.
And you were pretty scared.
And I was like, I'm talking to people, and they're like, yeah, I think you should do it. People will do it. And I'm just like, well, there's only one guy at this meeting, and this just don't feel too good. And I was like, and I didn't have very good luck with them. At Franklin County, I owned 5 of them, and 3 of them average for the field, which if you do the math there, the math doesn't math.
And the racing just was not good with them.
I don't know. When it was good, it was good. When it wasn't, it really wasn't.
If you compare them to Ararat Race Night 1, the racing sucked with our other Crown Vics.
Yeah, sure. But that's a hard thing to compare to. And Jeff's Auto Sales, my friend Jeff Caldwell, putting up $300 to help us get to 500 on that. I think that maybe drew a couple cars. Most of them were local, so they were coming anyways. But a couple guys came. So maybe we got 7, which is what I kind of thought going into it. Maybe we had 7 to 11. We ended up with 9, so I was close. And going forward, I think, there's some other people building some cars. I've had quite a few messages about cages and different things and, all that stuff. And we're going to try to work, so our rules, have some different things in it and, that, With Raceway doesn't do, and Carolina Speedway or, Harris doesn't do, or Cherokee or whatever. And their rules are just a little bit, but they're not things that make the car faster. So I'm working with you. You just message me. I'm more than likely I'm gonna work with you. And if it's something that I don't know whether I can work with you or not, I'll send you over to Tech Man, Timmy Hilton, who did a great job first night. He even got to disqualify a couple people, which I don't think he really wanted to either. But like I told Dylan Knapp, and this is one thing that I try to stick to. And yes, there are times when you can't because it doesn't make sense, but we got rules. And if it's like I told him that night, I said, if I let you go tonight, we basically don't have any rules for the rest of the year. And
we're not setting out to disqualify anybody.
We don't want to disqualify anybody. But you need to be by the rules.
Well, unless you're Wes Givens. But we're not setting out to say, hey, let's find something on the Pro 4s tonight, or let's find something on the late models. We want you guys to come race, have a good time. But if you're cheating, you're going to take that chance of being tossed out.
And you may make it through tech, and you may not.
Absolutely.
And we're working on more tech tools and things, just learning the nuances of what you need there and how to tech them, and people talking about tire samples, and I'm trying to figure out how all that works, and 'cause we don't do that on asphalt. Fuel samples and different things. And
you guys tech the Crown Vics?
They checked every division of some sort. I just don't know what he checked, you know what I mean? So...
Gotcha.
you trying to say Justin Pruitt because he was faster and everybody was cheating? Is that what you're trying to say over there?
Well, no, I'm thinking.
Or are you just trying to cheat yours up?
When I get to racing, I just, what are you guys checking over there? And to be clear, Justin Pruitt said he had a car he'd sell me. Well, that would be amazing.
I'm not in the race. I'm not in the racing business of that sort anymore. Where I'm not buying no cars, owning no cars, building no cars, fielding no cars. So
no, you're not. But your wife probably will be.
She better get another job. Okay, so
I got the snack shack.
Yeah, well, it don't bring in enough money. Hell, I'm just paying bills out of that. At the end of the night, staff and different things. There's paying people back for things that they brought and did for us, and just different things, man. It don't go very far,
Oh, absolutely not.
People think you make a lot of money there, and it looks like it. I've always said this: people see everything that comes in, they don't see anything that goes out.
Nothing that goes out.
They can't do the math on the purse. You can have the lowest purse in the world, and you'll still be paying too much money. It's just what it is. So, but I'm looking forward to this weekend, the Memorial Day Thunder event, which we're going to call it Remembering Heroes Night. And then when I put my thing together for Facebook, it was, Memorial Day Thunder. I was like, man, that sounds good. We'll just roll with that.
I think Race Monitor says Remembering Heroes Night.
Yeah,
I've already got it set up for the weekend.
I don't think anybody cares what name we're using, but
to go back to that Race Monitor, if you are coming on to Race Monitor to watch our races at Ararat, you need to be sure to click on the settings and go down to the dirt oval. Dirt oval.
I just leave mine on oval racing so I can go back and forth between asphalt and dirt, and you don't have to do all that.
Well, I'm an idiot because, I put our first race on Race Monitor, and I'm scrolling down the paved oval, and I'm like, I know it says I'm live. Where are we at?
I spend a lot of time on Race Monitor reading other racetracks results and things, and my race pass for that matter. So learned a lot, and
and I have been doing a lot of
Natural Bridge and all that.
A lot of research on my race pass, and that may be something in the future. Yeah, it's just not right now.
It probably will be.
It's not feasible for us right now.
Yeah, do we spend $600 there, or do we spend $600 somewhere else? Working on.
I think we get our footing underneath of us.
Yeah.
And learn our P's and Q's, and then Race Monitor's a little more feasible for us.
was going to mention, another new sponsor who's been helped us out before the first race, but I finally got their logo and stuff today, and that's Ideal Landscaping. They took care of the grass, which was really bad at practice. The second practice we had, the rain let it get out of hand, and they did a good job of getting us mostly caught back up. They did everything they can. Hopefully they'll catch it all this week, and I think they're going to be spraying some weeds and taking care of some things there.
Whoa!
Where I don't have to worry about it, you don't have to worry about it. We don't have to think about it, and I really appreciate them for coming on board to help us with that. I don't have their banner yet because I just got their logo today, but hopefully we'll have it. It could be here by this weekend, but doubtful unless FedEx gets a lot faster than they normally are.
That's really awesome to have a landscaping company. We've always had to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And when you said spraying some weeds this week, whoa, they're taking Langley's only job in the whole wide world away from him.
Yeah, my only job.
The only thing he does is spray weeds on that golf cart.
Listen, I just wish somebody would answer all the questions that come in, okay? I will give you my phone.
No.
You just answer my phone. Actually, I'll forward them to you.
No.
I'm going to get me a little AI assistant on my phone that when it answers, it'll say, okay, you've reached, blah, 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 whatever, and would you press 1 for Ararat BullRing, press 2 for Race 22, press 3 for Franklin County Raceway, because I still get all their calls.
And Natural Bridge.
Oh, yeah, and press 4 for Natural Bridge Stock 4 rules questions. Lord, and sometimes I get South Boston. Some people call me and say, hey, I got your number off of Google. We're coming down to watch a race tonight. I ain't having no race. What track you calling about? Oh, we're talking about South Boston. So literally, if I don't know, I just pull it up. I try to be nice. I pull it up on my phone and say, oh, yeah, 7 o'clock, blah, 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 $20 to get in, $15 to get in, whatever it is. And, try to do that.
The few questions I do get, I don't want your phone.
Oh, no, you should.
No.
And I probably, over the last, especially the week leading into the race and the week leading out of the race, I did not do a good job of answering questions. Because, I felt
you
sick.
Were sick.
It was terrible. I was sick all the way through most of the week, last week, too. And I don't want to use that as an excuse. But, it is. It's what happens. So, but really glad to get back here on the podcast. Hopefully we can jump on here every week now and, get this done. And maybe we need to go live so I can stick to a plan here. I don't know.
Well, now that you don't have all those weeds to spray, maybe you can stay on schedule.
Oh, my God. Listen, I will not run out of stuff to do. Sitting here at this computer, I will not run out of stuff to do. I'm behind where I'm sick, and the racing and all that. I'm behind on design work. I'm behind on getting you the stuff you need to do, yes. To get stuff for customers, for Race 22 custom apparel, so I'm trying to get my crap together here, so hopefully we'll do that, be back at, Ararat for a little bit tomorrow, and then we won't be there Friday, and we'll be back, of course, Saturday morning, and, got a big race. Hot laps will be at 6 o'clock, drivers meeting 5:30, gates open for the grandstands at 5, in the pits at 3. Don't try to come early. Come about 3 o'clock, or right about, give us some time to get set up and be ready and all that stuff. And I think we're gonna have another good night. I don't know what the car count. Somebody said, well, what do you think the car count will be this next time? Y'all had a really good night. I think there'll be more cars. I'm like, I was about to say I hope not, but I didn't say I hope not. I said, well, I hope we're prepared for whatever comes. Because we really got to get the parking under control. So listen, if you're coming, park tight. Park in a space. Park your open haulers where there's small spaces. Park your big haulers where there's big spaces. If you're bringing a personal vehicle, park it up on the hill over there where the fans park, or park it out there beside of us, but don't block up anything out there. Park it back as far as you can. Park it near, the other vehicles that are lined up back there that belong to the neighbor there who owns that property. Park it, to where other people can park out there too, because there's going to be, 15, 20, 30 vehicles out there. I don't know how many was there this last time, but I know some of the people, took them up on the hill. And if you're bringing a golf cart, if you bring in a side-by-side, a pit bike, or any of that stuff, don't bring it on another trailer. Stick it in your trailer. We don't have room for that. We definitely don't have room for you in the infield, and we barely got room enough for you to park out there or up on the hill.
And don't say, well, I'm dropping this off here from my buddy. I got to take it up here in the pits, and then you never see the truck again.
Yeah.
That really hurts our parking. So if you got one, unload it in the parking area.
They're just going to make us come to a point where we just say, nope. unload it out there and take it on in. But, and that's just the way it'll be. Got some signs coming for this week that'll say race cars only, for the entrance there to come into the pits, because there's a lot of people coming in and turning around as the night went on. And one that says grandstand entrance for the other side. So we'll get those up. Just some yard signs, be looking for them. We'll have our feather flags out there, waving, and, hopefully we'll have that all decorated out for you so where you can see what's going on. And, which Jimmy Watson, had told me, hey, you need to have signs, out there because people don't know. Well, I didn't.
We learned the hard way here.
And I don't want to say it's because I got sick, but it was because I got sick that I wasn't prepared there. And, I don't know. My wife's trying to burn me up here in the office, so I'll get this show over with. But we've went 54 minutes, longest show I think we've had on here. Plenty to talk about. Probably could talk for another 2 hours.
Oh, yes. You're keeping me harnessed tonight.
Yeah.
Before we jump off here, I just want to say thank you to the fans and the racers. Race number 1 was a blast. Yeah. I loved every minute of it. Yeah. I was stressed for the day, but not stressed at the event, if that makes sense. I was stressed because I didn't know what I was going into. But as far as the running of everything, oh my gosh, it was a blast. I hadn't had that much fun in a long time.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good night.
And I want to thank everybody for making it easy.
That's right. And don't let the new wear off and, and forget that you didn't have a home track for a while.
We did have one fan that drove 5 hours to be there.
Yeah, I know.
And he said, this is top notch, know, and I felt like we were half-ass at best.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's still got to be done.
Yeah, it is. And there's still a lot of stuff to be done.
Oh, yeah, right now. I
could make a list and probably never check everything off of it. So
when I went down, every time I go down there, I see certain things. I'm like, oh my gosh, my OCD's taking over. This has got to get done.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, before I have a heart attack because she's got it 312 degrees here in my office by turning my air conditioner off.
It is not 312 degrees in the office.
I'm going to get off of here, and we'll see you guys this weekend. Really appreciate you guys listening to the BullRing Banter podcast, and hope to see you at each and every one of our races. Listen in next week. We'll be back. I got to stick to that. We'll be back next week and make it work. Have a good night.